From deep in the forest, high atop the great Smoky Mountains, this is Smoky Mountain Off Grid. Okay, today is just a podcast. I wanted to um, reiterate a few things, and the mainstream media, which includes Fox News, is just having a heyday with this election stuff, and they're pontificating about Biden's cabinet picks, and where he's going to put who. And the one today is all about Janet Yellen, who used to be a Federal Reserve Chairman, and Biden wants her to be Treasury Secretary, which means she controls the IRS. Anyway, amongst other things. Uh, the economy is not as complicated as you think it is. The thing that makes all of the difference in the world, worldwide, is human nature, and that never changes. So the situation in the United States is we're going to get an ex-federal chairwoman, and Janet Yellen as a Treasury Secretary, the very woman who has a PhD in Keynesian economics, which is socialism, the very woman who is responsible for all of the QEs that we got. So you think she's going to be fiscally responsible? That's an impossibility. So, from a common sense standpoint, you can just look at it as if it were your personal household budget. And if you continued so let's say you have a shortfall in your budget, but you need to buy groceries. So what do? You put it on credit, right? Whip out the credit card and, at 21% interest, and, you buy what it is, whatever you need. So now, what if you were to continue to do that without ever paying the balance off? In other words, you're just making the minimum payments on your credit cards. Well, pretty soon you'd need another credit card, wouldn't you? Because you'd had maxed out the one credit card, so you'd need another one. And you continue to do that until when? Until you went bankrupt. And that's exactly the situation that the United States government is in. The difference between them and us is they can print money. But the end result is still the same at some point. They have to either cancel the currency, default on the debt, inflate away the currency. They're keeping interest rates low, so their borrowing costs are low, because that's all they ever pay is the interest. They never pay the principal. They never intend to pay the principal. So, how do you think that's going to play out? I mean, use your sense, use your common sense. It's not going to go well. In addition to that, you have these people on here, these gold and silver people, and, you have to have gold. And do you really think that our federal government is going to allow the American public to have something that will benefit them while their entity, the government, crashes around them? And the same thing goes for Bitcoin. Do you think that our government is going to allow a private currency in our society that they don't control? I mean, look at China. China's already outlawed Bitcoin. Our federal government is going to come up with their own crypto, the digital dollar. It's coming. I mean, come on. You've got to use your head here. This is not going to play out the way that people are talking about. This is not going to be a pretty picture. This is not going to be one of those things where you can bury your head in the sand and wait for the fallout. You have to have a plan of action. You have to be thinking about what you can do in these various scenarios. And yes, it's not a pleasant thing to think about. But human nature says you ignore it until you're facing the aftermath. Now, what possible good is that going to do for anyone? You have to be proactive, not reactive. So, at any rate, I get very frustrated with people because they can't think in terms of common sense. They have to have these lofty ideas and these lofty analyses and I don't know if that's a word or not. Analysis is analysi. I don't know. Anyway, they have to have all of these complicated ways of looking at things when it's really very simple. Human nature never changes. Government has always been corrupt. There's always been an establishment, a deep state, as you guys call it. They're the ones who pay the bills, send out the Social Security checks, the welfare checks, all of that kind of stuff. Collect your taxes, tell you that if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to jail. All those kinds of things. That's all the establishment, the deep state. We need those people to collect the trash and to collect the money and to divvy it out and to do all of that kind of stuff. These are unelected people. These are career government employees. This is the deep state, and they are the ones who run the government. It doesn't matter who the politicians are. It doesn't matter who the president is. The deep state is going to call the shots. And that's just the way it is. And we've seen that. Just think about it. Think about the news that you have seen in the last 4 years. It's all been anti-Trump because he's an anti-establishment guy. And so the establishment fights back against him. So, I mean, how did Joe Biden win the election? Because they cheated. And they've always cheated. So, if you think you're just going to go about your merry way in life, and that there'll be just a little glitch or whatever it is, you are sadly mistaken. This is going to be a life-changing event, and it's going to unfold in the next 12 months. So, I don't know why people aren't upset about this stuff, and I don't know why people aren't taking the precautions that they should take to protect their families. But all I can do is warn you. I mean, I'm nobody. You shouldn't take my advice on face value. You should do your own research. And the internet is a wonderful tool for doing all that stuff. I mean, with the exception of, some of the high-tech stuff, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the social medias and stuff. I mean, they're controlling what can be put on on their sites. And so, if you're listening to this, that means that more than likely you have switched to an alternative social media, being uh, Parler, because this is going out on Parler. But it has to go through YouTube to get on to Parler. Are you kind of getting the picture of how things work? You need to get your head around this stuff, and you need to get off your behind and do something. I mean, like today. All right. That's all I got for this time. So until next time, toodaloo.